So firstly, I would like to say how pleased I am to welcome the NATO Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, to Luxembourg. It's the first time for a bilateral visit that he had the opportunity to discover our country. And let me just remember that we discovered that there is, and as maybe you heard on Place Clairefontaine, there is an anthems from the NATO. And we discovered that it was written by André Reichling, a Luxembourgish military and composer who wrote the NATO anthems. Since the beginning of your mandate, 1st of October of last year, you have shown leadership, especially in these difficult moments we live. And I would like to thank you personally also for that. Luxembourg is a founding member of the Atlantic Islands, and we are strongly committed to the solidarity between allies and works hard to provide also contributions. Through the deployments of its armed forces in Kosovo and Afghanistan, you know it's not the biggest parts, but what is important is being able and to show the solidarity and also participating in these deployments, but also by providing capabilities such as AWACS or the Alliance Ground Surveillance, which bring added value also to the NATO. We highly value NATO as an essential forum for transatlantic consultations and partnerships. And we had today a very fruitful meeting also with the Ministry of Defense and Deputy Prime Minister Etienne Schneider, with Minister of Foreign Affairs Jean Asselborn and also Minister of Justice Felix Bratz. We discussed about the efforts from Luxembourg. We discussed also about Luxembourgish EU presidency and the preparation of the Warsaw Summit in July 2016. We know that today we are halfway between the NATO summit we had in Wales in 2014 and the one we will have in Warsaw in 2016. We discussed about the implementation and also about the situation now. And we have to know that, and I told that also to Secretary General Stoltenberg, that on the borders of Europe we have a war situation. That we see that on the natural borders also, through the sea on the other side of Europe, we have also war situations. So it is very important to show also that we are aware. As we are faced, as I just said, with new security challenges from the east and the south, the greatest responsibility of the islands is the protection of our territories and our populations. The Readiness Action Plan, called RAP, is a key part of NATO's response to the new security challenges it now faces. It responds to the challenge and the strategic implications. It also responds to the risk and threats emanating from our southern neighbour, the Middle East and North Africa. So Luxembourg, like all allies, expressed its solidarity by joining in the common effort of the 28 NATO members. So we will participate also in the exercise of Trident Juncture 2015 and the 2016 Very High Readiness Task Force led by Spain with the Belgian contingent. And Luxembourg fully participates also in the adaptation of the islands by integrating now an officer in the NATO command structure. For the investment, you know that some people say security does not come for free. We acknowledge the transformation of our force and capabilities, and the way we employ them requires sufficient funding, and every ally has to contribute according to the means at its disposal. I also said to General Secretary General of NATO that military budgets, development budgets are things which are not the most popular in your own country. And when I see that some countries react by that by cutting, for example, development aid, this is not the way we choose. We still think that it's very important to help the poorest in the world, and this belongs also to prevent conflicts in different parts of the world. And so that's the reason why we still have 1%, and your country you were Prime Minister before is also one of the very few countries in the world where 1% is also a goal to help other people. And we will make the most effective also use of our defense budgets, and the implementation of this commitment has already started by providing capabilities where Luxembourg has a solid experience, like satellite communications. And I think this is very important too, and we had a big exchange on that also with our colleague Minister of Defense. Luxembourg has also decided in the military budget that we have voted to make a voluntary contribution to NATO's Trust Fund for Defence Capacity Building of €250,000 for 2015. This money is used especially for the Middle East. The region is under a lot of pressure as some countries need to host many refugees, and with the combined effect of the Syrian civil war and the terrorists of the Islamic State, the region needs our support. This will be a contribution to the efforts to stabilize the region in general, including the fight against the Islamic State. It will help increase security for the people in the region, and those have a positive effect for refugees and refugee flows. So I really would like to say thank you again for your visit to Luxembourg. Not to forget that we have 1,100 employees in Capellen working from the 28 NATO nations working here in Luxembourg, which makes also a special relation between our country. We hope that actions is always the last answer. And we also spoke about the situation in Russia and in Ukraine, and we had an exchange, and we still hope that we urge really Russia to return to compliance with international law and to engage in a political dialogue towards a diplomatic solution that respects Ukraine's internationally recognized borders, which is important. And the current crisis in Ukraine shows very clearly that defense matters and that European security cannot be taken for granted. The vote on decentralization in the Ukraine Parliament on Monday is for us an important step also in fulfilling the commitments on the Ukrainian side. It will facilitate implementation of the Minsk agreements. It increases the autonomy of the regions, but also their responsibility and accountability towards their citizens. And I also informed Secretary General that in the next weeks I will go to Moscow to have a meeting with Mr. Putin and Mr. Medvedev, and also go to Ukraine. We will do everything what we are able to do to keep doors open and to be able to have people around the table and to discuss. Thank you again for your visit, Mr. Secretary General.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister Bettel, and thank you so much also for hosting me and my delegation here in Luxembourg. And I would also like to thank you for taking me on a very brief, very short, but very nice tour of the city. And I had an excellent guide, and that was you. And I actually learned today that I should also start to thank Luxembourg for the NATO item, that Luxembourg actually has been the nation where the author of this item was born and raised, and it just underlined the strong historic relationship between Luxembourg and NATO, Luxembourg being one of the founding members of the alliance. We just finished a lunch where we had extensive discussions covering a wide range of different issues. And I would like to start by stating what I also told you, that this is my first visit to Luxembourg as Secretary General of NATO. But I visit this country with the knowledge that Luxembourg is a staunch ally. And I commend you and I thank you for your contributions to NATO. You have always been a reliable ally, and you contribute to our operations in, for instance, Afghanistan, in Kosovo, and you also play a key role when it comes to investments in high-tech capabilities, like, for instance, satellite communications, which are of great importance for the alliance. I'm also grateful for the announcement you made today that Luxembourg is going to contribute to the trust fund financing defense capacity building. And defense capacity building is very important because it is a way for NATO, for the alliance, to help, to train, to assist, to advise other countries to increase their capacity to defend themselves, to protect themselves, to stabilize their own countries. And if our neighbors are more stable, we are more secure. And I know that you will especially focus on Jordan. Jordan is a key country in the Middle East. It is an island of stability in a sea of instability. And by supporting Jordan, we help to stabilize the Middle East. We help to fight ISIL. And actually, we also address the root causes of the immigration crisis we now see in the Mediterranean and in the southern part and all over Europe. So your contribution to the Trust Fund for Defence Capacity Building is very much welcomed, and I think it's underlining how NATO is contributing also to stabilize our neighborhood. Then I would like to underline that NATO is adapting to a new and changed security environment. We are facing a new security environment, new challenges, both stemming from the east, with a more assertive Russia, supporting the separatists in eastern Ukraine and annexing Crimea. But we also, of course, see the challenges related to and the threats related to all the turmoil, the violence, the instability to the south of the alliance with ISIL in Iraq, Syria, violence, turmoil in North Africa. And we have to address this, and we address it by adapting to a new security environment, by increasing the readiness and preparedness of our forces. We are doubling the size of the NATO readiness forces, and we are establishing a new spearhead force. We have already established this spearhead force because it is important to increase the readiness and the preparedness of our forces in general. And I also welcome that you are participating and contributing to the increased readiness of NATO and our forces. I also welcome that you have pledged to increase defense spending in a sustainable way. And this is important because all contributions matters. And NATO is an alliance based on solidarity, where we protect each other, and therefore contributions from all members are important. But in addition, of course, the increased defense spending in Luxembourg is something which is also then encouraging other countries to invest more in our security. So I'm looking forward to continue to cooperate with you. I welcome your strong commitment to the alliance, and I'm very grateful for being able to visit Luxembourg today.